In this video, I will show you how to reinstall the bobbin winder tension bracket and the bobbin winding frame back onto your Singer Featherweight. First, let's go over the parts that you will need. There are two different parts to the bobbin winding system on the Featherweight. You have the bobbin winder frame, which is attached with this hinge screw, and you also use two washers when you attach this. One is just a flat washer, and the other washer is cupped. You will see it has a slight cupped shape. Then you have the bobbin winder tension bracket, and there are several different parts to this. This is the bracket that actually fixes to the body of the machine. But before we put this on, we're going to fully assemble it. You'll need the two tension discs. You'll also need this bobbin winder tension disc spring disc. That's a long name for such a tiny part. And then this little spring. This screw is the one that holds on the bracket. And this is a little hinge type screw that we're going to put this little nut on the back of once we put everything together. So let's start by assembling this. This bracket's going to sit on the machine right here like this. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the tension discs. It doesn't matter which one, they're both the same. And I want you to take that spring and rest it inside this cupped portion. Then this funny washer with the long name is going to rest on top of that. And do you see how it kind of indents in the center? That's going to go down on top of the spring like that. So you'll have this little tiny cupped part. Then you're going to take your hinge screw and slide it through the center of those three parts, just like that. Then you take the other tension disc and you put it on facing the opposite direction, just like this. And you have that spring kind of pushing against you, so it takes a little bit. But what happens is now that we have that spring in there, we have this springy effect, which is what keeps tension on our thread when we're winding our bobbin. Now, keep your thumb pressed down on that head of that screw and pick up your bracket, and you're going to put it on the front side. So not this back side here, not on this side, but on this front side. You're going to push the screw through the hole there so it comes out the back. Then you're going to take your washer and spin it on the end of that screw. And like I said, for me, I feel like this is easier when it's not on the machine because I'm not working against the neck here. So I'm just trying to get that started onto the screw. Once you get it started, it won't be hard. And what I want you to notice is that this hole here that the screw is going to go through is oblong. That's because once we set this on the machine, it can slide just a little bit to the right or left. And that's how, if our bobbin were winding unevenly, too far to one side or the other, just by loosening the screw and sliding this bracket right or left, we can correct that problem to get it to fill evenly. When I start out, I just kind of center it on the machine. So we're going to take our screw and just start it in the hole. And just check to see if you have it fairly centered for now. When we wind our first bobbin, that's when we can decide whether or not we need to make any adjustments. And tighten it all the way down. So that's it. So now we have our springy little tension disc back on the front of the machine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my little needle nose pliers and I'm going to hold that nut so it can't turn on the back, and I'm just going to, while holding the nut so it can't turn, tighten down the screw just like that. And it should be nice and secure now. So now we can put on the bobbin winding frame. So we're going to be working with this little hole here up by the hand wheel. This is where we're going to reattach the bobbin winding frame. Now, your frame sits on the machine like this. And once it's all attached, it's up when we're not using it, and when we're using it, it's down against the hand wheel. This part connects to the belt as the hand wheel spins, and that's how the bobbin fills. But for now, what we need to do is just get it onto the machine, and this is how you do it. First, you take your big hinge screw and you're going to take your cupped washer. See how it's cupped? So we're going to put it with the cupped edges like this, like a contact lens, and we're going to slide that hinge screw right up through the center like that. Then, and this is also a part that you do want to oil, by the way, because there's a lot of friction here that happens. So let's put a nice coat of oil. Then we're going to grab our bobbin winder frame and we're going to slide the hinge screw and the washer into the opening. And try to slide it all the way in so the screw head is flush. Then take your other washer and put it on the back side like that. Now that's how we're going to screw it to the frame. So I have everything together and I'm just lining it up here, and I'm going to try to get that screw started in. And things might separate a little bit. That washer might kind of get in a funny spot, but normally if you just kind of move the bobbin winder frame, you can get it to go ahead and start to tighten down. And I need a little heftier screwdriver for this. And this one you want to pretty much tighten down all the way. Now, if our hinge screw is working properly and that washer together, we're going to have tension on this frame. It's not just going to flop around. So I should be able to lift it up. And this is kind of stiff. After you work it a couple times, it might kind of settle into a good spot for you. But do you see that? It stays up if I raise it up, it stays down if I lower it. If you get this too loose, it can bump away and not make contact with the belt anymore when you're winding the bobbin, and you don't want that. So you do need it to be a little stiff to operate. So that is how you install the bobbin winding tension bracket and the bobbin winder frame back onto the machine. Make sure this is spinning nice. Make sure you oiled in this little hole right here, because that's going to keep it lubricated and help it spin really well while you're winding your bobbin. Now, the other part that I wanted to install in this video, since it's pretty short, is the top cover. And we'll be taking it off because we still have to grease our gears and oil up some things, but you should have the top cover and this little screw, because in the next video we're going to install the tension assembly, and we're also going to want to zero it out. If you have this cover cleaned up and handy, go ahead and get it on, because you'll need it on to set your spool of thread on whenever we put the tension assembly back on. It doesn't have to be super tight, but just so we have a place to set that spool of thread. So that's what we're doing next, the tension assembly and zeroing out the tension. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye.